What's up? Today I'd like to talk about what makes us human. And this is a question I've kind of contemplated and philosophers in the past have contemplated. There was here a story about Plato, and there's the academy, and they try to figure out a definition for what makes us human, and you've got humans have two legs, and that works until you run into birds. So what Plato does, I guess, is he takes a chick. Um, so then they come out with this idea of, okay, well, what makes us human is we have two legs and no feathers. So then Plato takes a chicken, plucks all the feathers off, and says, look, it's a human. So I guess maybe redefining that, if Socrates is around at that time, he'd probably, make an assertion, two legs with no wings. But you can get into body parts. What about people with legs blown off? What I'm asking with this video is there a definition that's, concise enough to be able to, concise but then fits into a category, everything that's human and everything that isn't? Or is it a matter of just traits that we have, that if you can, say 1, 2, 3, and 4, and okay, yep, that's human? And how do you go about the question? I was watching Aaron's video on abortion up through kindergarten, and there's definitely some good insights in there. What point do you say, okay, well, that's living, and if you jizz in a towel, is that preventing life? Is that murder by the same instance of what point? It's kind of like a continuum in that sense, and he makes that point. Next Omniverse talks about how, like, when it's an the fetus inside is like a parasite. I kind of think about the abortion thing is like, if this is a fetus, is it living or just merely surviving along those lines of being a parasite? And do you need to be, maybe that's a qualifier for living and not surviving independently? I guess if you were to take that and apply that to the coma test, these would be people that are surviving, but they're not like actually living independently. But then they could. So then, what is the line? Where do you draw the line in cases of like Terry Schiavo and people that are comatose? Or where do you say, okay, this person's dead or they're still alive? Because clearly Terry Schiavo wasn't coming back. Her brain was like jello. It had melted. There was absolutely no sign that she would have lived. So there's that. There's the coma test sort of thing. There's the abortion example, and then we get into genes and having body. The genes, what makes us human, and this is a fairly good argument of just being able to classify human apart from other animals, is that there's 46, I think 46 chromosomes. But if you were to take a fertilized egg and that has 46, is that a human? Granted, it will be, provided it gets a chance to. But what if something else has 46 chromosomes? Or what if your chromosomes are from an animal that is biological, heir or descendant of humans, or what humans are? Where's the evolutionary cutoff between? I guess you go from like man to modern man, and the progression. I don't know that much about history or anthropology to make that call. From what I understand, there's like the Homo sapiens and there's the Neanderthals. And the Neanderthals were advanced. They had their own civilization. They had their own art, their own writing, and they died off. And potentially, could the Homo sapiens and the Neanderthals both simultaneously evolve into human? I don't know. It's something we're thinking about. I don't know. So anyone that has more information on that, I'd love to hear it. I guess like another thing would be, what about robots? And granted, it's kind of like a science fiction-y thing you'd laugh at right now, but in the future, 20, 30 years from now, it might be a political issue or something like robot rights or robot marriages, and then you have your real dolls that are like these really expensive blow-up dolls that really look a good deal like humans. And if you were to take animatronics, make them into androids, robots that look exactly like humans, kind of some stuff they were talking about on Free Talk Live the other day. At what point do you say, if you were to like download your consciousness into a computer and live without a body, and then someone else found a body, does that computer program your life, or is your body your life? Maybe this is kind of like a hypothetical crazy talk, the mind-body break, but if it was possible, or what if you're human life and you get cryogenically frozen? Are you still alive? I guess that kind of goes along the same lines of coma, as like potential. So, just kind of like thinking about what makes us human. I guess one more thing would be like, you look at what's human versus what's a person. I had a conservative buddy try to explain this, like, we are people because we're civilized. People that are tribalists, people that still live in tribes to this day, that lived like their ancestors lived thousands of years ago, they're human but they're not people, and they have like, they're perpetually stuck in an animalistic way of living, that if it is merely a matter of what is a human acts like a human. But even then, that's hard to say, because there's things we create like robots that act like human. That's, I guess, like what lines you draw in trying to come up with that determination, and what traits do you have, and then like what I don't think there's a simple definition, even though it's blatant. It's just obvious when I'm talking or when someone else is talking, oh yeah, that's a human. And it's just kind of funny to think about, but philosophy is in large just that. You have stuff that's obvious that philosophers are able to explain, and the philosophy is explaining what's obvious. So just kind of thinking about that, and I would love to hear your opinions or your YouTube videos or whatever else on what makes us human.